Let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to get a handle on your motorcycle? God, I hate myself. Kind of looks like an What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Make It and Break It. My name's Andrew, and today we're working on our Project HyperTenere Yamaha R6. And today we're going to be down in here working on our hand controls. So our foot controls are currently in process, but our hand controls up here, we also want to do a little bit of upgrading. So these are the stock hand controls, and you can see this thing's super long and huge. In fact, in any sort of reasonable place where I can put these levers, and they're still reachable by my hand, it's actually, this ball sticks up past the end of the handlebar here. And what that means is if we tip over, what's going to happen is this ball is going to break off and probably take most of a handle, or either a clutch lever or a brake lever over on this side with it. So we want to deal with that, and we're going to do that using two different items. First, this is the clutch side. We're going to install some Shorty levers. These are Vortex Racing Shorty levers designed for the '99 Yamaha R6. These are much shorter. You can see if we put these on here, these are a much shorter lever. So they should not extend nearly as far out and have the same sort of risk of damage if we go off-road. They also have some adjustments, so they have adjustable levers. These are adjustable ones. And that lets me adjust for like winter riding if I'm wearing thicker gloves, or summer riding where I'm wearing very thin gloves, that sort of stuff. So I like Shorty levers. I have them on my Ducati, and I just really like having Shorties around. So we're making this adjustment. And then we're going to be installing a set of these. These are hand guards that get installed around here to kind of protect your controls and your hands in the case that you run into a tree or something else like that. It provides a lot of hardened connection. It provides a lot of hardened protection for your hands and hand controls. Notice this would also be a problem with these long controls, because these extend out farther than the end of the bar here, and we just can't use our levers then if we want to install any sort of handguard. So we're going to go through a bit of an upgrade here with our hand controls, and then get our crash protection installed today. So let's go do it. All right, so we're going to start here on the right hand side. If you're changing levers, it's pretty easy. There's usually just one pivot bolt in here for pulling a lever and putting the new one on. In this case, this is the right hand side, so we want this one. You notice it doesn't have a slot for putting the cable clutch, but if you have a hydraulic clutch like my Ducati does, then this is basically the same installation. So there's usually just one through bolt here. In this case, it's right up here on the front. You just undo it. I think this is a 10 mil. Oh, that's tightening it. Forgot a flathead. All right. So here's the difference. You can kind of see it. If we hold these things up, you can see we're losing about, I don't know, an inch or two off of in terms of total length. So not too bad. And then you just put it back in. So the thing is here, you want to be sure that you can align everything up. So right now, there's going to be a sensor right up here on my bike that has a little, pressure sensor here. That's your brake light that goes on when this presses it. So you want to make sure you get that lined up. In this case, for these Vortex, there's this little, we can get in here. Maybe. Focus on that. See this little ledge here? That is supposed to go on the sensor. And then this piece right here goes into the hydraulic little pump thing. So, and that's what will actually actuate the brake. So you want to make sure everything wants to kind of line up here. But if they do their job right, the manufacturer, in this case, Vortex did a pretty good job on this. And so it all just kind of lines up where you want it to line up. And you just push this thing back in here. And this is a special type of bolt. So it's threaded into a threaded section on the bottom side of the mount. And then it has a locking nut that comes in and locks everything down in. So that gets put in and then you just bolt it back up. The key is you want to make sure that you can actuate your hydraulic cylinder here, this master cylinder. You want to make sure that the arms go in and actuate that well before you go put everything back together. Yeah, so then you can see this wants to go really well. And now we have this. I'll rotate this a little bit. You can kind of see how it's down. Now we have this, so you can move things in and out and adjust. I'll probably keep it pretty close in, just because that tends to keep everything in and will let us put all of our protection stuff on top here. And there you go. Installing a lever is very simple on a motorcycle. It's usually one bolt, make sure everything lines back up, and put it all back in. Especially if you have a hydraulic clutch. The clutch side should be pretty much the same as the brake side, because this is a hydraulic lever and you have to line up the hydraulic plungers and everything else anyway in the same way. But because this has a mechanical clutch, or a cable clutch, then there's just one other little adjustment you need to make when you're doing that. Okay, so on this side, removal is pretty much the same thing. It'll have like a single bolt. In this case, there's no, I don't think this one threads in the same way as the other one. There's no backing nut. This is just a nut that holds in a kind of a carriage bolt style. So because this is a cable, you can see this little cable coming in. This is the only real change between the other two. You're going to have to get this and this, your clutch side in a cable style will have a little notch. So you just have to pull and then try and get this in. I tried to do this without pulling this, but I don't know if that's gonna work out. So this is an adjustment screw up in here for my cable clutch. And bringing it in like this essentially brings in this collar, which is what provides the tension on the clutch, through a clutch line. So if you bring it in, then there's less tension on the cable, and then if there's less tension on the cable, you have a better chance of pulling it into your handle. You can see now this is kind of set up much easier for us. Let me grab. Yeah. So if you make that adjustment and you don't have to pull everything off, pulling everything off can be kind of really annoying. I don't know if you remember us installing all this upper handlebar stuff. We added a new clutch cable with that. When we did that install, this clutch cable was a real pain to get installed like this in a usable way. So once you have that in, it's basically the same thing. You go realign yourself with your sensors and your notifications. Good. But you realign all your holes and then reinstall your nut on the bottom here. And then you want to get this readjusted once you're done. Make sure that if there's some adjustment on a lot of more fancy setups, there might be an adjusting plunger installed on your clutch or brake side that actually actuates the master cylinder. Make sure that it gets adjusted so you get the proper engagement on your handles. There we go. That's much better. And so now we have our adjustable handles in here. Okay, so we're back here and we've got our handles installed, and I've adjusted it mostly to where I think I want it. And now it's time to put on protection. And this is not a condom. This is hand protection for keeping trees and giant bushes and rocks away from your brand new and very handy to have, you know, levers like your clutch lever and your front brake lever, as well as your hands, right? So this is a pretty standard upgrade for a lot of like dual sports and even dirt bikes. So throwing this on here seems to make a lot of sense. And it would be pretty easy. Like, it's just you put a bolt through a hole right here, and it goes in here and expands some stuff and holds everything in, and it's all good. Except that's not how we do it here at Make It and Break It. We try and make things hard. And I have a set of CRG bar end mirrors that I really, really like. They're essentially my favorite set of mirrors. I've got a slightly different set, this is super dirty, on my Ducati that I really love. And these are really cool because they normally sit right out here and mount much the same way as this does. And then you can essentially flip them in and flip them back out when you want them out again. So off-road, kind of the idea here, in my head anyway, is we flip them in off-road. This will protect, this hand guard will protect pretty much everything here. And then when we get back on the road and we want mirrors again, we flip it back out and off we go, and we can see everything. Because nobody can see anything out of mirrors that are up here. You just look at your shoulder and your elbow. But the mounting fasteners for this thing don't fit through the tiny hole that this thing's mounting fasteners use. And they're too short when we add this mounting fastener here, and then this goes on here. Mounting fasteners didn't work. So what we need to do then is modify this. Mostly we're just going to drill out the hole in through the center of this so it's bigger and will fit the mounting fastener for our hand protection. And then we've got some longer bolts, and hopefully everything fits up. So let's go drill out some things and see how it goes. Okay, so we've got our handles here and the protection. You can just see it over there. And we have one small problem here. All this stuff fits. In fact, it all fits at its most extended, which is kind of nice. You see this, and it works the same on the other side too. And we can move them back in, and everything also fits here, which I'll probably end up running it very short, relatively speaking, just because it's easier to grab and reach. But you can see this gap. And this mount, which is kind of back here, I think you can see it. No, hold on, let's check this out. This mount here is the other side of the mount for this thing. And normally what happens is this will come in and there's a bolt and it comes in here, and then you get the bolt through here and everything locks in together. Unfortunately here, right now, what we're looking at is we have about an inch gap between where this handle leaves off and where these mounts want to actually go, especially to clear things like the master cylinder here and various other things like that. And the same exists. You can actually see it a little bit clearer up on top here. You see this? This is your handlebar mount, and it's supposed to line up and connect in here in this little slotted area, but it doesn't. So to fix that, we have a couple options. The easy option is just create a little standoff. You need about an inch on each side, and we've got a little bit of steel rod that we can go make that here. Just cut a couple inches off, drill a hole through the center, and make a standoff. Or we could remake this whole thing. Let me get what the spare ones and show you what they look like. This is what these mounts have, these little rotating things to go connect everything up. This is what they look like. They have a little flat section here, a little hole drilled in them, and then a threaded hole on the top side here, and that's what goes through. Normally it's supposed to go in through here and lock everything together. So we could create this out of that same bar, but I am a little skeptical of doing that, just because, well, it's gonna be a little weird to try and make that. I could make that, it's not too hard, but I think we're gonna try and start with the easy one, which is create a little standoff spacer and then just get a longer bolt and bolt through here. So that's what we're gonna try out first. And it was successful. You can see the way these things are in here, and this one's in here pretty tight. I actually did a decent job of, you know, setting it up. Our bike is now relatively crash proof, and we have mirrors that fold away. This is one of the cooler things about these CRG mirrors, is they fold away nicely. That won't necessarily save us from the worst fall, but it'll keep them relatively intact. I think going off-road, this one tends to fold in even a little bit better. So, yeah, I'm actually pretty happy with the way this bike's starting to turn out here. So we just kind of have a little front fairing cover here left to go, and maybe some pedals, and this bike's ready to go off-road, which is really exciting. We're nearly there. Yeah, I'm excited both to get this thing out and ride it around in anger, as well as to get onto other projects too. So, yeah, I think we're gonna call it here for today. Thanks for watching, guys. Again, my name's Andrew. It's another Make It and Break It YouTube video. Like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. Check the link down below to our Teespring. We got some t-shirts like this, as well as some of the other logos that we have. That helps support the channel if you're feeling interested and wanna rep your favorite YouTube channel. It's me. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you later.